weren't denouncing political violence. You weren't denouncing these people getting beat up. You didn't care when the violence is on your side like a typical Democrat. You don't care at all, Cenk. You don't care. And you've never cared. The only reason you care now is because you want to kiss.
And I condemn it every time people do violence. Literally every time.
I'll say snake. But the thing is, Snake, is that you're just trying to kiss the right wing's ass now to get back in with them because the left has categorically rejected you. And that's what's...
Andrew Wilson calls out Cenk Uygur on all of his BS lies live right on the air of the Piers Morgan Uncensored show. We saw the return of classic TDS meltdown Cenk Uygur, which was great to see. I missed TDS meltdown Cenk Uygur. I was worried that we would never see that Cenk Uygur back again. But fortunately for us, Andrew Wilson brings it right out of him, slaps his newfound centrist or right-wing, whatever he's trying to be nowadays, mask off of him, and reveals that the real TDS Cenk Uygur is still there. Let's see how this goes down.
Start with you. It's been a blizzard of stuff going on, as always in Trump world. But it seems unlike 2016, that this time there's a kind of laser focus and a plan to what Trump is doing. He's had time to think about this, time to work out what he got right and wrong first time, and he's hit the ground very hard, running very fast, really to try and send a message. Right, this is the new America. What do you make of it?
Yeah, so first of all, credit to him on both the optics and the action, right? So when a Democrat gets in office, they immediately start saying, our voters have to push us to do the right thing. And then they say, don't push, don't push, don't push. Hey, how about we elect you and you do your goddamn job, right? And for Democrats, that seems to be a really hard ask, right? So that's why I'm so frustrated with my own party. Trump comes in and goes, you want to see something? Boom, here we go, day one. Oh, signing after signing after signing, executive order after executive order. So give him credit for that. Number two, give credit to Susie Wiles, who ran a brilliant campaign and now seems to be running a very tight ship as the chief of staff. Now, when it comes to the actual orders, I disagree with tons and tons of them. Some of them are expected. We're getting out of the Paris Climate Treaty, which is a disaster for us to get out of. But once Trump's elected, that's fait accompli. So it's not like you should be overly surprised by that. The pardons of the violent criminals on January 6th is unacceptable, except for the fact that it was super obvious that he was going to do it, right? And then when he gets to the absurdities like taking away birthright citizenship, I think he does that as kind of a squirrel to distract people and get everybody to focus on that while he passes everything else, because that has no chance. That's wildly unconstitutional. And by the way, I would hope that MAGA would realize things that are unconstitutional and go, wait, we're supposed to love this document. I can't have you going outside the Constitution and outside the law.
Okay, Andrew, your response.
Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of problems here. So the first problem is these were not violent criminals who were released. These were political prisoners who were released. What happened is there was no fair application of the law whatsoever. These guys were being tried in D.C. There was a political witch hunt. We have more evidence every single day which provides for that. And why these guys are busy now complaining and showing us, oh, down here on the border, we have a mom crying because she might be separated from her kid. Nobody's commenting on the fact that we have a ton of families that just got reunited. And on behalf of all of the Wilsons of the world, welcome home. January 6ers, it's guys like this that wanted to put you away in a dark hole, absent due process, and throw away the key. These were not violent criminals. By the way,
well, hang on. Okay, Andrew.
If you're enjoying this so far, smash that like button.
Let me just stop you there. So I actually interviewed one of the protesters, Jacob, who was the QAnon shaman guy. And I also had a Capitol police officer who'd been working that day. And what they both agreed, very interestingly, was that they both condemned the violence against police officers that day. So if you can have one of the protesters who've just been pardoned concede that the violence that was perpetrated by some of the protesters was wrong, unacceptable, and should be condemned, why would you categorize it as non-violent?
Well, I didn't categorize it as non-violent. I said these are not violent criminals, which is how it's being
framed. But if you're perpetrating violence against police officers, it is, isn't it?
What? How many? A few? A couple? This guy on May 30th of 2020 The White House was under siege. It was attacked. Over 100 Secret Service agents injured. They were burning down stations. This guy said, "Oh, well, Trump had to go hide out in his bunker." Can you imagine if the roles were reversed and Donald Trump came out and was like, "Oh, AOC had to go hide. Oh, these politicians had to go hide." He doesn't care about political violence. The left doesn't care about political violence at all. They'll use it when it's expedient for them. They always do, pointing to a couple of bad actors at this thing and saying all of them have to be thrown away. And, the key thrown away with them is insanity. And no, I don't think so. I think it's a miscategorization to frame all of them as violent criminals. And that's
they
exactly what
weren't
Cenk
all
was doing.
violent at all. I mean,
That's what he was doing.
Them,
That's what he was framing it, though.
Yeah, no, listen, I don't, and Cenk, I do not agree with that. I don't think all the 1,500 were violent. In fact, we know for a fact they weren't. A lot of them were not convicted of violence.
Yeah, I didn't say that.
You did say that.
So, look, no, all right, whatever, dude. So on the Young Turks, we've been super clear about this, and as always, we're the one guys set of people who are fair. You'll see both sides do all this extreme stuff like Andrew's doing. So first of all, the people who went to the speech of Donald Trump, a lot of times they get thrown into this, and I have always said, no, that's not fair. They didn't go down to the Capitol. For the people who went to the Capitol, it's an obvious crime to break into the Capitol, and why were they doing that? They were trying to overturn the results of the election. So you could blah, blah, blah on all your talking points, but it's absurdity. Obviously, they were trying to hurt our democracy. They were trying to steal that election. And were some of them violent? Were all of them violent? No. Were some of them violent? Obviously. We have eyes and ears. So you can do all the propaganda you want, but we just watch the tape of them trying to beat the crap out of the cops. I thought you guys cared about cops. I care about crime. I'm against crime. And, we take heat sometimes from the left because they think that crime is a right-wing narrative and doesn't actually exist. Well, the voters just showed you it does exist, and they're pissed about it. But they're also pissed about it when you go beat up cops for Trump. So look, I'm past it because the American people voted. They put Trump back in office, and that's pretty definitive. I didn't want that, but it happened, right? But if you're going to try to do revisionist history, that these were some patriots who showed up for a picnic, but oh golly gee, there was a Capitol, so they started to bust in and beat the living crap out of the cops, and oh, he lost the election, but oh no, it was stolen, so they go and try to do a coup attempt. I hate it. I think it's a terrible precedent, and I think every time you guys defend it, you sound absurd, and it sounds like overwhelming, ridiculous propaganda.
And the reason why we're always on the defensive about January 6th and why we always have to defend it is because the left and the mainstream media always tries to make it into 9/11 Part 2. You guys are always comparing it to like Pearl Harbor, 9/11 to, 9/11. You guys paint it as it's the worst day ever. That was such a dark day. And apparently, majority of Americans don't agree with it. It's not even just right-wingers. Majority of Americans don't agree with it. If majority of Americans felt that that was actually a coup attempt, that that was actually an insurrection, why would they vote the guy back in? I've always said on this channel that I am not a fan of January 6th. January 6th, no good. Not a good thing. It was terrible. It was awful. But to say it's like, on par with 9/11, as someone who lived through 9/11, no, it's not. For starters, with 9/11, we didn't have to get constantly told by the media how awful 9/11 is to know how awful it was. We just kind of knew. But with the media, you guys always have to compare it to these really terrible days to try to make it seem like it was worse than it was. Yes, it was a bad thing, but it wasn't the worst thing ever, like the left paints it out to be. And it wasn't an insurrection.
Yeah, what it's about is a fair application of law. And there has not been fair application of law here. Cenk himself cannot even do fair application of law. At the same time, he says, they're trying to coup and overthrow the democracy. It's exactly what happened May 30th when they were attacking the White House. They were attacking Secret Service agents. They wanted to get in there. And all he could do was whine about how Trump had to get sent to a bunker. Where was his outrage about the coup d'etat? Where was he when Black Lives Matter was burning down cities?
Was no coup
Nowhere.
On May 30th.
It was a
protest.
He was saying instead, Cenk, I didn't interrupt you once. Do you think he calmed down for me? So anyway, what's going on, very simply, is that he has the revisionist history. While at the same time, the Democrats are saying, you got to stay home and stay masked up. They're telling other people, go outside, burn down cities, make Chaz chop, a nice free independent zone. I don't know how you could say that that's anything other than an insurrection, to say that this is now no longer part of the United States government, have your own armed militia there, the entire 9 yards. May 30th, they attack. And this guy says nothing. Suddenly, J6, though, oh my God, they're violent extremists. They're going to overthrow democracy. It's all nonsense. It's not fairly applied. He's never fairly applied it. The law has never been fairly applied to the J6ers. They were tried in D.C., not in front of impartial juries. And here's how our law works. Our law works like this. 1,000 walk free, so one guilty person doesn't spend a day in prison. That is the precedent for our law. That's why they got pardoned, and it's exactly why they should have.
Yeah, and that.
So even if Donald Trump were to left the violent ones in jail, how long were they going to be in there for? What were their sentences? Was it proportionate to the crime? That's the questions that those are the questions that we should all be answering. What do you guys think, though? Sound off in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel if you're enjoying so far. Let's continue.
The ending the birthright
Can I
citizenship.
just address
Hang on, Cenk. I'll come to you in a moment. Response. On what Cenk mentioned also about the ending the birthright citizenship is one of the executive orders. Do you think Trump intends to do that? Because it seems to me he's already won the debate about illegal immigrants who are here are criminals in America.
Yep.
Everyone pretty much agrees they should be sent back, including the million who've already been processed but haven't been deported yet. So all of that seems to be very popular, but there is a lot of anger about the idea that you may end what seems to be a very American thing, the very ethos of the country, this birthright citizenship. What do you feel?
It's a very un-American thing. The 14th, or I'm sorry, this was never, by the way, never set up so that people could come in, have a baby, and then anchor themselves to the child. And that's what's been going on. And it's been going on for years. We know it's been going on for years. This was designed for things like for immigrants who came in legally. They have children here. Of course, those are United States citizens. Nobody's disputing that. What we're disputing is that you can just come in illegally, have a child on American soil, and then try to anchor yourself to that child. That is not in the spirit of what we're even talking about. Of course, Trump wants to end it. It's bad policy across the board. It's always been bad policy across the board. And I hope the Supreme Court, it gets challenged by the Supreme Court so we could get it in front of them so that they can interpret it correctly, because that's not the way this is supposed to be applied.
Cenk?
Yeah, so first let me address what he said, and then I'll come back to this. So look, guys, what happened on May 30th was nothing but a protest. But if they attack Secret Service guys, then they should be arrested. That's a violent crime. I'm principled on both of those things. And in Portland, when they took over a portion of the city, I was against it. Like, well, that's not a thing. You don't get to take over a portion of a city. I was against it when gangs took over apartment complexes and buildings in Colorado. So if Trump stays with things that the American people are in favor of, getting rid of the violent felons that are undocumented here, that's going to be very...
So when it comes to May 30th, yeah, that was a lie about Cenk's position. I actually found the video that the Young Turks did around that time. Pull up the clip, Jamie.
Office address is not going to stop Antifa. What's going to stop Antifa is action, and this president is committed to acting on this. He has several meetings pertaining to that today, and that's his focus right now, is acting and keeping our streets safe.
Yeah, that's actually the opposite of what's happening. So he had a call with the governors where he told them that they were being weak and they needed to take action, and they needed to, quote, dominate the protesters. So he's asking the governors to do more violence against the protesters. Several of the governors have come out and said it was totally unhinged, and they couldn't believe that instead of calling for unity, he was calling basically for more violence. And so, but to me, just as importantly, what people are not focusing on is he's passing the buck again, just like he did with coronavirus. Oh, me, the national leader, I don't know anything about that. No. The governors handled the protest. The governors handled coronavirus. I'm just a figurehead hiding in a bunker. Hey, bunker boy, you're supposed to be the leader of the free world, let alone actually being president of the United States. And you could tell from his tweets on Friday night. Look, guys, when the Secret Service says we have to move the president to the bunker, that means they are literally worried that the palace is going to be stormed. Okay, I mean, that's the state that America has devolved to under this incredibly weak president who constantly says, I have no responsibility at all, and hides in his little bunker and then tweets out, no, we're perfectly safe, and we have really bad weapons and vicious dogs, and we can unleash those. I'm really safe. It's so obvious how scared he is. I have never seen a politician in my life so unprepared and overmatched by a moment as Donald Trump. He is our Neville Chamberlain on steroids.
So he doesn't condone the violence. He just refers, on May 30th, he refers to those protesters as just being protesters. But if you look into it, no, the reason why they had to put Donald Trump in a bunker is because that they were getting violent. They were throwing rocks. They were trying to overcome the police barricade. Like, it was getting pretty serious, and that's why they had to put Donald Trump into a bunker, which Cenk even says in that clip. Well, if they're putting the president in the bunker, that means that they're ready for something to storm the castle. So in that clip, Cenk downplays the situation by just calling them protesters, blames it all on Trump. The reason why the protesters are there causing a ruckus is because of Donald Trump. He's a coward for hiding in a bunker. They call him Bunker Boy. Two completely different reactions there. Andrew Wilson was completely spot on with that, but I think we all know how full of crap Cenk is and how biased he is. When one group of people does something, he hates it. When another group of people does something, oh, it's no big deal, or oh, it's Trump's fault anyway, or blah, 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 blah. Excuses, excuses, excuses. Which is our point about Cenk and anyone else with TDS like Cenk.
Whether the left likes it or doesn't like it, right? But when he goes too far and he goes to things like birthright citizenship, then people are going to push back. And that's when it gets interesting. Is Trump going to double down and go, no, I'm going to, go to demagogue on this and get you people to hate, foreigners coming in, et cetera. And I don't care what the Constitution says. And we're going to change the way America is. And you're no longer an American if you're born here. We're going to judge you based on, where you're from, et cetera. That'll be very unpopular. Does he dig in, or does he, as he does sometimes, go, man, you know what? I gave it a shot, didn't work, and retract. I hope that that's the direction he goes, because look, brother, if you have a problem with a part of the Constitution, you need to go through the right process. You need to go and do an amendment. Like, I want to do an amendment to get money out of politics. But when Biden was in office, I didn't think he should just come in and go, forget what the Supreme Court said. Forget what the Constitution said. Let's go nuts and do whatever the hell we want. That's not how it works.
Sorry, where Cenk was droning on and on about his thoughts on the birthright citizenship thing, I was also thinking, I wonder what the Young Turks had to say about CHOP. So I found the clip. Let's see what Cenk had to say about this.
Now, another thing that we know is the medics, the fire department, and the police were definitely not responding to calls. There was another situation where someone else in the CHOP zone was in a medical emergency. They called, and the fire department would not come, and medics would not come. Now, they don't have to come inside. People can bring the person who is injured to outside the CHOP zone. First of all, when you enter the CHOP zone, especially in the middle of the day, when one of these things happen, you don't immediately evaporate or explode. People don't immediately attack you. No, if you're a medic, of course they're gonna bring you to the person who is hurt. But even if you didn't believe that, they certainly will bring you the person right outside of the CHOP zone. No, they're not going on purpose as a ha, look at us. Without us, you're gonna die. And in fact, maybe we'll help you along by not showing up. So the people who didn't show up should be investigated and immediately fired. It started with great intentions, and there are good people there, and the people there overwhelmingly are peaceful, and they're trying to do the right thing. And police should be defunded. Defunded as in find a different way to disperse the money, restructure the police, retrain them.
So according to Cenk from 4 years ago, CHOP, the people who ran CHOP, they were good people with good intentions. And even in the beginning of this clip, Anna Kasparian just calls it a protest zone. Oh yeah, it's just a protest zone. But I believe there was an instance where a fire truck or an ambulance did try to get through and they weren't allowed in. So yeah, Cenk full of crap again confirmed. He never once condemned this. What do you guys think about that? Sound off in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel if you enjoy content like this. Let's continue.
That I didn't know that we were supposed to go through a process of law for these things, which is exactly what Trump is doing via his executive order, which then hopefully will get it in front of the Supreme Court, which looks like that's what the plan is.
Part of the legal process.
By the way, just so you know, the interpretation of this, that's what we're really talking about, is the interpretation. Ultimately here, it is not, and you need to agree with me on this, it is not in the spirit that you can come in and have a child here and anchor yourself to the child specifically so that you have some pathway or motivation to citizenship. You say it's not a part of the legal process. Yes, these challenges, getting in front of the Supreme Court, getting in front of various courts, is part of the process. It's been done this way time and time and time again. Also, I reject categorically what you said. Just lied to the audience. You called Trump bunker boy, right? He was going down to the bunker during the protest to inspect it. Ha, 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 right? You didn't care at all.
Yeah.
You weren't denouncing political violence. You weren't denouncing these people getting beat up. You didn't care when the violence is on your side like a typical Democrat. You don't care at all, Cenk. You don't care. And you've never cared. The only reason you care now is because you want to kiss.
And I condemn it every time people do violence.
I call it snake.
Literally
okay,
every
I'll say
time.
snake. But the thing is, Snake, is that you're just trying to kiss the right wing's ass now to get back in with them because the left has categorically rejected you, and that's what's actually happening.
Cenk, is that?
Damn, Andrew Wilson just called him out, saying what we're all thinking. Because this is exactly what we're all thinking about Cenk, how he's trying to kiss the asses of the right wing. Because, yeah, his side lost, and so he's now trying to kiss up to the winning team. This is amazing. I think I've become a bigger fan of Andrew Wilson after this.
All right, you amuse me. Yeah, this guy amuses me. So, like, you think calling me snake is going to somehow win you the debate? Good luck with that childish.
I already won the debate.
Way of going. Oh, you did because you said it. Okay, that, by the way, another great debating tactic. Just saying you won. And second of all, we have 27 million. How many times do I have to say this? 27 million subscribers, 30 billion lifetime views. You're a pimple on my ass. I literally don't even know who you are. So you come in here talking about audience, and you're a snake. Okay, you're a turtle. You're a scorpion. Audience. Whatever. Do I win now?
I didn't say anything about audience. What are you talking about? Are you a lunatic?
You did. You just said, the left wing's audience has got a problem with them. I know the left wing better than he does.
You're trying to cozy up with right wingers. What were you doing at TPUSA, Cenk? Trying to cozy in with right-wingers like Charlie Kirk, kissing their ass. You're literally kissing up to them because you want in good, because the left is rejecting center-left policies now. That's what's happening.
Hey, brother,
they either want to go far left or far right.
Okay, listen, brother. As you see me bitch slapping you right here on national airwaves.
The only thing you can bitch slaps.
What part of that seems like cozying up? What's the part of that seems like cozying up to the right? I think you're an idiot. I think you love that coup on January 6th. I think you hate our democracy. I think you hate our Constitution. So what part of that is cozying up to the right wing? Bitch?
I hate snakes like you who try to get in as good as you can with a weak right like Charlie Kirk when you have weaponized political violence yourself.
Oh, Charlie Kirk is weak right and you're strong right.
At the same time,
Interesting.
At the same time, you say, wait a second. Oh, I can't believe the J6ers coup d'etat. You didn't give a damn. You've never given a damn. We have your words on record. You flip-flop. You're the biggest flip-flopper on the left. You're known for it. People make fun of you for it because you move positions. You and Anna Kasparian both move positions like a tube of toothpaste.
Trump! I love Trump! Oh, I love Trump so much.
And all you care about is Trump derangement syndrome. All you have is Trump derangement syndrome.
All right, let me try.
TDS, always on display.
Wait a minute.
Time out.
I gotta say one thing.
You both made your feelings clear.
How can you say that I'm cozying up to the right and say I have Trump derangement syndrome?
All right.
Make up your mind. You're a very poor thinker.
We watched the entirety of his entire first term. You were Russia. He's a colluder. He's evil. He's this and that. And he flip-flopped on that position the second it was politically expedient.
Okay. Let me try and...
Damn. I mean, that's it. That's it. Game over. Game over for Cenk. He was exposed. Mask slapped right off of his face by Andrew Wilson. And Andrew Wilson is completely 100% correct. As I've demonstrated for you on those clips, Cenk is a flip-flopper and he is full of crap. And he's straight up lying, saying, well, I never condoned CHOP and I never condoned this and that. I condemn it. No, you didn't. You did not condemn anything. You were pro-CHOP. You didn't care that Donald Trump had to go into a bunker. You made fun of him, calling him Bunker Boy. Andrew Wilson's right. You only care when the right wing does something bad, then you'll go out there and foam at the mouth condemning it. But when someone on your side, or your old side, because I don't know what side you're trying to be on nowadays, does something, oh, it's not a big deal, but the right wingers are worse. They do continue to debate, but honestly, I think this says it all right here. How is anyone even willing to listen to Cenk after seeing with your own two eyes how full of crap he is? Great job, Andrew Wilson, owning Cenk Uygur in this clip on the Piers Morgan Show. What do you guys think about it? Sound off in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel if you enjoy content like this. And if you do enjoy content like this, if you like seeing Cenk Uygur meltdowns, I have a whole playlist for you on the screen for you to click away and enjoy.